You know what the carpenters are going to look like in the future? They're going to look like iron workers. Honestly, I expect that we'll get more value out of high-rise concrete erectors, but they don't know that yet. We know that, and we recruit from that pool. But it's going to look a lot more like iron workers. And here's what I mean. Ironwork is totally prefabricated kits of parts off-site, brought to site, and erected, not fabricated. Like, yes, there's welds being done on site, but what they're doing is they are making bolted or riveted connections in pre-planned ways. And what they are is they are very skilled erectors. They know how to plan the product to site. They know how to rig it off the trucks. They understand cycle times. They understand how to remove hurdles from speed of installation construction. And so that, like, even though we're talking about carpenters and you know, in the union environment, which we're union in the States, the carpenters are going to enjoy the luxury of being able to say it's wood, so it's ours. We're non-union north of the border, and so that's a slightly different story. Like, iron workers can come and take our lunch pretty quickly. More difficult down in the States just because it's wood. But there is no, we say this to our clients all the time. If you see us making sawdust on the job site, you know we've already screwed it up. We're already doing it wrong. Like, there should be no saws, no drills. Yeah, I say those things more for emphasis than I do for reality. There's a tool crib. All those things are there because things happen on site. But if you are wholesale making fabrication adjustments on the job site, you're not a real, or maybe I should say, you're not a serious mass timber erector. You have not yet bought into the process, which is really, you're on the team a year in advance. You're sequencing the product. You're contributing to the knowledge around the connection details for buildability, for performance. You're planning around weather events and how that impacts the product. All of this knowledge is baked into the evolving design. It limits the high number of RFIs that just plague our industry. You take care of those things way up front. You plan every single the sequence of every single structural member, which informs how it gets detailed at the manufacturer, how it gets, the sequence in which it gets manufactured, how it gets loaded on a truck, how it gets stored in a holding yard, how it gets then relayed from that holding yard to the site, so that when there's a crew of 7 to 10 people on site and a crane and equipment everywhere, and you're paying union wages and benefits and just the money burn that happens on site, the piece that is on the top of the truck is exactly the piece that needs to get rigged and slung that moment. And if it's not, you just start down the road of, what you do is you start losing the one tool that we have in our toolkit that closes the cost gap between timber and other materials that can be less expensive on a material supply basis. We can erect significantly faster than steel or concrete. And that helps us close that gap in cost and make it more cost competitive.